we have Rebecca awakening to a new power, having her own ether gear, having a brand new member of the ship, and finding out exactly, more importantly, what Eden Zero could be referring to as well for this series. So a lot of stuff to dive into with chapter 15, also coming out very surprisingly early as well for this chapter. And I think the most important part of, especially with this chapter, is definitely the stuff for Rebecca and the very last couple of pages of this one, because a lot of this is a bunch of the crew getting used to like their new ship, saying like, look, it's going to take us a while to get back to Blue Garden. It's going to take us around like 6 hours, so we need to clean this ship up because it is a pile of shit at the moment and there's nothing but these horrible bug things around there. And it's like, once we get like there in that area, we're going to be pretty much like staying around the orbit of Blue Garden because, one, we kind of realize we're in a pirate ship right now. We cannot dock there, otherwise that's going to like explode a whole bunch of like issues going off around there. And it's like, look, this is our ship now. That's like, we need to just take care of it. We need to like clean it up, get everything all sorted around, which they kind of take care of. And one thing that I felt very weird about this chapter is the whole kind of interaction with Pino around this entire chapter, because she's still talking like she's like cannot come to terms with the whole fact with about like everything with the Demon King, that he's dead, and like, you know, she's like, well, my master's dead now, like I don't know what really my purpose is anymore. And it's like, in fact, like Shiki's whole that kind of waving it off kind of thing was a bit weird. He's like, oh well, never mind, just work with you, like help with us with cleaning because you're our friend now too, so just don't worry about it. And it's just like, and she's here having this kind of crisis. It's like, why was I in Norma? Why did you create me? What am I living for right now? And it's like all these horrifying things about like her having this like kind of like giant like life crisis at the moment. I don't know what my single purpose is anymore if you're no longer around here to tell me. And she's still trying to figure out like everything, like what's going on with her. Meanwhile, they find this like very big like bathhouse area, which of course means a bunch of wedgie stuff going around, and one thing leads to another when they're cleaning this up. Rebecca and Happy are in this thing thinking like, this is like what's going on with this machine. And it's like, we're looking around, it's like, it's beautiful nice sky, and it's like, we can do anything and all that, like, you know, we've been like in the slums before, but now we're in a ship this big, we can go even further than that. This entirety of this bath starts awakening something in Rebecca as she starts like freaking out as her arms and her legs start having the same like going around in her body. It's like, I might be able to use ether gear like now as well, where it's like even Happy saying this bath seemingly stimulates ether in your body like for the most part. So pretty much a recovery bath for the most part. Whenever you just like go in like a Pokemon game or any kind of RPG, you just get in there and like you have a little bathhouse rest, and it's like, oh, I might be able to use the same powers as Shiki now. And she's like accelerating, getting really excited, like, yeah, let's go. And this is where we find out what exactly her kind of power is. It is a concentrated blast that she is seemingly able to use. She uses it, goes really excited, goes hell yeah, and fires this blast and breaks the roof. They fall off from there and just smash their faces right into there. Of course, having a little bit of concealment there to show off Rebecca, and I'm like, oh much. Of course, we've got to have the edginess like coming into there, and I'm like, again, like seeing she's like there, it's like, I can use this power. She's freaking out right now, like, what is going on right now? Like, what is this power I've got? And considering that she's some like a person that's like, you know, she uses Happy that as a weapon and it was a concentrated blast, it means that she has another thing up her arsenal. Again, this was something we was kind of addressing as well when later on, like kind of very early on in the chapters, is like, what else would they Rebecca be able to bring into the tables right now? Because so far we've seen what Shiki can do with his like gravity ether gear. We've seen exactly what Weiss can do. They can reconstruct things. And again, like Rebecca was the one I was worried about. Is like, is she just going to be the gun girl after everything? Because this is the thing where it's like, I always like when you think about Lucy, and like Lucy always got her like a couple of times to shine for the most part, and she never fully evolved for a good chunk of the chapters. It was just normally, oh, I get this key and then this key, and like after that it was the Star Dress form, so it was able to vary it up. But I remember Ellie in Rave Master was the one where it's like, I wanted her to have something. And again, I think Ellie is still character wise one of my favorite out of like all of Mashima's girl like female like protagonists like what that we have. And definitely like when I think about like comparing them all, like, I think that was the one thing that Ellie lacked, is that she was a lot more like not like, she had her tonfas and she was strong and all that, but she was never like on that scale of like, she had a lot more to like kind of their arsenal and like fight wise and all that. But there was a lot more other characters in the series that were more derived for that. But definitely I'm kind of curious seeing where this could lead now with Rebecca, because I want to see her do some really cool stuff with these powers, where it's like, I want to see her using this ether gear, and when she addresses it to Weiss and Shiki, where it's like, oh, well, Shiki's like, I learned in a month, to be fair, like, it didn't take me that long to learn how to use my powers, and Weiss is kind of being a bit tight-lipped about it. It's like, it ain't really a big deal, like, you know, like, about how I learned it, because Shiki learned from, like, the Demon King, and he's like, I might be able to use it, though, and it's like, don't worry about it, and all that. It's like, you need, like, years of practice to do any of that stuff, and, like, Shiki's being a cocky shit, he's like, well, I learned it in a month, so screw you, and he's like, the fact that you got this, like, I'm faster than you and better than you face is really annoying. And one thing is, like, they go and lead up, it's like, oh, by the way, we just completely upgraded our gear as well. Like, it's like, Shiki's in, like, these brand new captain clothes, got the, like, goggles on like that. Rebecca's got this new, like, pirate outfit on. I'm like, sure, these are nice. I actually do like, I think it would be much better if kind of Shiki came more in that design than his original one, because I prefer this design of Shiki, like, a lot more. I mean, Rebecca's design is, I mean, it's fine. I still prefer, like, the one that she originally came into, but again, that's one thing I kind of like about, like, with this series and all that, is that we're always getting kind of, like, a few updated character designs, and, like, always seeing, like, I always like seeing, like, characters in different outfits other than the main ones that they're normally shown around in. Like, I like that. It just shows that, you know, like, oh, this is, like, what they kind of wear, like, on a casual day or something like that. I prefer that, like, we see a lot of series, like, do this, but they arrive into this throne room, and it's like, what the hell, what is this, the Demon King's room? Like, what's up with this place? And, like, we find out they're like, this is like got a little hub area where it's like, this is where like he was trying to star map everything, where he was able to get to Mother, and it's like I'm gonna take this shit to Mother for sure. And using Shiki, since he has the same ether gear as the Demon King, this is able to activate something known as Protocol A7, which awakens like this android that we were being built up to last time, which is what we know as the Demon King's 4-star shy. She's one of the witches of the Demon King. So I'm curious, okay, where are the other 3 immediately? This one being referred to, like, or at least we don't know a full name of this one, but like going by the helmet, a lot of people have just been calling it E4. So this is like, at the moment we see with E4 having this ability to purge, and especially that this android was built by the Demon King itself, and it will listen to Shiki without a question. The fact that it's like, I will fulfill any kind of question with like or any order and all that without like giving any questions or chit chat and all that. And at first they do a funny thing with her. There's like, oh, bark like a dog, and she does this cute little woof thing, and it's like, oh, well then get rid of these eggs then, like these weird bugs and everywhere. It's like, sure. And then she uses the ability named Purge, which is terrifying, because it's like, I just destroyed all of these things. And then she has something as Rebirth, which she's able to reconstruct this whole entire ship, which we learn about exactly where it's like, she is returning it to its previous form, where it's like the jet black wings that saw through things. Ether Drive Eternal Navigational Ship, also known as the space battleship Eden Zero. So again, we've seen like all this being talked about before, like when we had that chapter when way in the future about when they mentioned Eden Zero and saw like Rebecca's little space cube on there, and it's like, okay, this is their original ship, and the thing is, I mean, it looks metal as hell, I will say that much. It has like a giant dragon head, like horns sticking out, like there's these giant wings, and like, it looks pretty, it's a battleship at the end of the day. They've got an entirely full-on battleship, not just not their little tiny little spaceship that they were running around with like Rebecca at all, but it's like, no, this is what we're roaming around with. And I'm like, this thing is goddamn huge, and I'm like, oh, I hope they can manage this thing now. And it's like, yeah, no, let's not try not be conspicuous of this. And it's like, even they're like recognizing it's like, we look like villains now and all that. It's like, we went from a pirate ship to a Demon King ship. Yeah, it's like, we totally upgraded ourselves here. And it's like, and then she starts getting like really upset, like, and starts crying, and she's like, oh, the king has returned and all that to Eden Zero. Like, she's so happy, and it's like, what is like going on here? And like, Eden is like, that's the ending of the chapter, and it's like, what exactly now is the purpose? Like, what exactly does she want like Shiki to fulfill? Like, does she actually want her to go back to Mother, to being like set up, especially with these androids? One is up, where is the other 3 of these androids? And more importantly, what is up really with E4? Because He is clearly terrifying, and the next chapter is being titled Sister, which I'm kind of wondering is like, since the Demon King built these androids, I'm like, well, what exactly more was their purpose apart from just taking care of the ship? There's clearly a lot more to these androids than, you know, more than meets the eyes with these people, and the fact of the matter is that, like, is an interesting thing to lead off on these, like, this brand new android, and obviously we're going into a new arc now, so I want to see exactly. Now that they've been given a lot of things, they've been thrown off like, oh, here is more multiple items here, enjoy yourself, have a lot of wonderful time being set up on all this stuff, and like, now I want to know exactly like what's gonna happen, because oh boy, you've got a ship, like a Demon King ship. You've been getting these powers. Rebecca has apparently now got some powers now with some ether gear like being set up on her, like her whole body being like kind of like messed up a little bit around that. They are clearly all getting themselves set up with brand new gear, brand new adventure, and I'm like, what is going to happen now? Because, and especially, how are you going to hide this ship? Hopefully this thing has a cloaking system or something to, like, hide itself around, but, like, what happens if they leave and, like, some shit gets into trouble? Because, I mean, they're not going to be taking E4 with them, so hopefully they're going to be just leaving that and say, please stay in the ship and not do anything dangerous. Like, not to mention it has a very scary ability to rebuild stuff and birthing like machines into different existences, and also as well as able to just purge entities. Whether or not how far that power goes, we're gonna have to wait and see. Overall, this was a weird chapter to say the least, but again, I'm happy that Rebecca was like, she's getting something more than just her guns. I thought, if anything, that would make her a little bit more interesting. It's like, she can turn Happy into, like, not just pistols, she can turn it into a rifle, like, you know, a shotgun, like, a bunch of these other things. Great, like, we still have a lot more to see. Like, we haven't seen, like, what the full arsenal of these characters yet, so we're just gonna have to wait and see, like, what more, and especially with the fact that the king has returned to Eden Zero, what more those words are going to mean more across the future. But that is all from me and this chapter of Eden Zero. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought about this one. That is all from me. I'll see you guys, though, next time.